What's up, everybody? It's Monday, Thanksgiving week. It's the morning afternoon live show coming at you right now. Let's talk movies, y'all. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Happy Monday. Happy Thanksgiving week to all of you who are in the US and who observe said such week. I am your boy Renee, back in the house today. What's going on? Whoa, Suck is in the chat. It has been a long time. How have you been? I hope you're doing well. That's a name I haven't heard in a very long time. I believe that's the line from good old Obi-Wan there. What's going on, y'all? Jester, hope you're doing well. Hope things are good on your end. It is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. What does that mean? It's an old-fashioned holiday where we celebrate the Pilgrims basically taking over the United States land from the Indians. And how do they celebrate such takeover? By offering them turkey and food and all that stuff, and a peace offering and everything. So we are celebrating the colonization of America. But in all seriousness, the way I observe this holiday is it is the time of year where we take a moment out of our lives and we give thanks for everything that we are grateful for, everything that we cherish, family, friendships, our health, our situations in life. It's a time that I use to reflect and all that. So that's how I spend these holidays in my later years in life. And of course, it's always a great time to hang out with family and eat a bunch of food, watch some sports on TV, and have a good old time, and not think about the craziness around the world that we live in. So if you are celebrating this week, I hope you are celebrating with friends and family. If there's no family, I know a lot of people do Friendsgiving, celebrating Thanksgiving with friends and acquaintances. So I hope you have a good time and a good moment to do all that stuff. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with family, getting away from New York for a little bit as I visit my mom in Baltimore, where she now lives and all that. So, Suck, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I'm doing as good as I can be. I've just been so busy. A lot of things happening in the back end here. You haven't been on the streams for a while, so you've missed quite a bit of life updates and all that. Nothing that I need to really get into too much, but just the last 3 months, I would say, has been extremely chaotic and busy for me. So, but for today's show, we're not going to be talking about any of that stuff. We'll be talking about movies, as always. We'll talk about the recent box office weekend with Wicked and Gladiator 2 breaking all sorts of records and pulling in big numbers over the past weekend, and a little preview of what's going to be happening for this Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of the holidays every year here in the United States where a lot of families go out and watch movies. I know I used to do that a lot with my family. Most of my family now are a little bit older and they don't like going to theaters anymore. But for many other people, and for people who maybe are not spending time with their families and maybe spending time with their friends, this is a major box office movie theater going weekend. So when you have Moana 2, another really highly anticipated movie coming out this week, plus people who haven't had a chance to see Wicked or Gladiator 2, or who want to see them again, this time with their friends and family, this week is going to be bananas. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And if time permits, of course, we'll talk about some good old movie news and all that stuff. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about in today's show. Arnold's in the house. What's going on, Arnold? Nice to see you here. You don't believe how happy you are. How happy are you, Arnold? Did something go well? Did Did I know Arnold, I don't know how much you want to share with the group here, but I know Arnold has been looking for a job. So hopefully we have good news on that front. Jester saying I'm about to eat way too much mac and cheese and cranberry sauce. What 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 else would you do on a great Thanksgiving, right? Sucks asking how long does Thanksgiving take? So Thanksgiving holiday officially starts on Thursday, and it's just a 1 day holiday, but for most people here in the United States, it extends through Friday, so it leads into like a 4 day weekend. Now, Friday is what we like to refer to as Black Friday. And basically, it's just a whole bunch of people who don't want to spend time with their families anymore. They go out and go shopping. And it's kind of the official start of the holiday shopping season for Christmas and all that. So there's a lot of deals, a lot of sales, a lot of buy one, get ones, all that stuff. I usually partake back in the day, and I don't know if people still do this. Um, People used to go out at midnight after on thanks like leading into Friday to snatch up all the doorbusters and big sale items, big ticket items, and all those things. I think most stores don't do that anymore. They usually open just a little bit earlier now on Friday, because now they allow more time on Thursday for people to enjoy the holiday with their families and all that. So, um, yeah, I don't know, but back in the day, a lot of people used to camp out in front of stores and all that stuff. So, I'm so glad that doesn't happen anymore, because that definitely took away a lot from the holiday and all that. Jester, speaking about movies, I watched another movie for the first time. Jester, what movie is that? Let us know. Arnold saying, I'm happy to see you, brother. This is why I'm so happy. Well, you know what? I'm glad you're happy, because when you're happy, I'm happy. And hopefully we all can be happy here, all as a group together. So if you're watching live, don't forget, hit that like button and enjoy the stream, as I like to say, and all that. So hopefully we can have a good time today and talk about some of the recent news and box office numbers and all that stuff like that. So let me pull up some of my data here. Um, I'll let you know. I guess let's start off with a little bit of what I've been up to lately in this past week. So obviously work has been busy, personal stuff has been busy, but I did have a chance to go out and watch some movies. I did see Wicked. I saw Wicked in an early screening on Wednesday. I'll share my thoughts about Wicked on that. And then I saw another screening of a movie that is to wait, hold on. Let me think right now. Actually, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Sorry. Never mind that. Scratch that. It's all right. No one watches this show anyway, so I'll perfectly fine. I did see something that's not coming out till next year that I'm not supposed to talk about, so I'll leave that alone. What else did I watch? Oh my god, this week has been such a blur to me. It's been crazy. Um, Jester just watched Goodfellas for the first time. Phenomenal, rated 9.6 out of 10. So I have a nice little history, a nice little Easter egg, I guess, or info for you on that. Um, Basically, one of the restaurants, I believe, and don't quote me on this because I always it's muddy as to which restaurant scene this was. I'm gonna come. But there was Arnold with a gifted membership. Arnold, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Membership went to Aggressively Relaxing. I don't know if they are here watching the stream right now, but if you are, please make sure to thank Arnold for the membership. Arnold, thank you so much. That's really nice of you. You're always a true OG fan. I love it. But yeah, one of the restaurants, I believe it's the restaurant that they killed that guy at the counter. If you remember that scene, and I think later on they blew up the restaurant. I forget. It's been a long time since I watched Goodfellas. That was filmed literally 3 blocks away from my grade school. I remember I would walk home from school, and there was this very old-fashioned diner. like 3 blocks away. And for like 1 week or 2 weeks straight, they were closed, and they had a huge sign on the door saying they're closed due to filming. And later on, we found out that they were filming Goodfellas in there, and it was used for one of the restaurant scenes. And I do believe it is the one where they killed that one guy. I Some people were also speculating that it was the restaurant where they got Joe Pesci's character before they got rid of him. But I don't really necessarily remember. It's been such a long time. So but yeah, I've been lucky enough that, living in New York, sometimes I get a chance to see like these type of things being filmed. My favorite story of all time is when they closed my local Wendy's, and they turned it into the McDowell's for the first Coming to America movie. And I would walk home from school, and I just saw basically them tearing down the Wendy's, and I was disappointed because I'm like, oh man, I like that Wendy's. And then I saw them putting up the McDowell's sign and everything. And then for the next couple of weeks, there was always a big crowd of people outside as they were filming the McDowell's scenes for Coming to America. So that is always, hands down, one of my favorite memories of movie making, I guess, here in New York, during in my especially in my neighborhood. And it's kind of a full circle moment too, because fast forward to, and I forget which year Wolf of Wall Street came out, but once again, where I live currently right now, 2 blocks away from here was, and I say was because they closed down a couple of years ago, was an old diner that was been open for 40 years. And that is where, once again, Scorsese loves using local small neighborhood places. Scorsese used that to film the Wolf of Wall Street moment where Leonardo DiCaprio meets what's his name, the fat guy, where they meet for the first time and they start talking. What's his name? Geez, the name escapes me right now. Hold on, let me see. Wolf of Wall Street. Let's see. Jonah Hill. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, the fat guy. That's how I remember him as. I'm sorry. um. Oh, come on, Nightbot. Don't get mad at Arnold for that. Hold on. I need to change Nightbot real quick. I thought I already got rid of that. But yeah, that's the scene, the diner scene, because I believe Jonah owned the diner in Wolf of Wall Street, and that's where he met Leonardo DiCaprio for the very first time. So I remember coming home from work that day, and I knew something was off because all the cars in the streets looked very dated, especially the bus that was just parked randomly on the street. And I don't understand. I was like, wow, there's a lot of old-fashioned cars here all of a sudden. Then when I get to the corner where the diner was, and that's the corner I usually turn to go down my block where I live, and I'm like, there's a huge crowd outside. And I see a lot of people with like, headsets and all that. So I go up to one of the guys and I say, hey, what are you guys filming in there? Because I kind of knew they were filming something. It's like, oh, it's a new Scorsese movie called Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. I'm like, really? Oh, that's interesting. He's like, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio was in there pretty much all day today. I was like, get out of here. So there was a small crowd of people like really on the other side, on the other corner. So I hung out there now. I hung out there for like a little bit. And lo and behold, Scorsese came out, talking to some of the crew and all that. In my very old phone back then, I was able to take pictures of Scorsese, and you could tell it's him, with his bushy eyebrows and all that. And I was like, what did I say? I said, we love you, Marty. And he did like one of these things like that. And I thought that was really, really cool. So yeah, and then like a year later, they had a nice picture frame inside the diner of the scenes that were filmed in that diner for Wolf of Wall Street. And I thought that was really, really cool. Unfortunately, because of, rent increases and all that, they had to close down. And now they're building a freaking apartment complex there now. So unfortunately, a part of movie history has been torn down, and that really pissed me off and all that. So yeah, so that is my little history of Scorsese movies filmed in my neighborhoods and all that. But Jester, I'm so happy that you saw Goodfellas for the first time, and I'm happy that you really, really liked it. It is definitely one of Scorsese's great films for sure. Let me quickly, sorry, let me just go to this Nightbot and tell it to calm its ass because I don't like the fact that it yelled at Arnold there. There's no need for that. We don't need that. All right. Let's see here. Let's see if there's one time. Oh wait, there's a timeout? No, I'm getting rid of that. No, 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 no. Hold on. By the way, I apologize for that. That's so disrespectful of Nightbot to do that. Let me see. But while I'm looking into this, Jester say I don't know, the coolest movie thing that has happened to me was probably James Gunn shooting Superman in the next town over. No way. I believe James was shooting that in Georgia, right? Is that where you live, Jester? I forgot if you told me before, so I apologize for that. But um, remind me. Yeah, excess emotes have been turned off. Excess caps, maybe that's it. No, you know what? I'm disabling that. Maybe symbols. I think it's the symbols. All right, I'm gonna get rid of that. So let's see. Arnold, I don't know if you're still there. Can you please let me know? Hopefully you haven't really been timed out because I think that's messed up. Or was that in the past? Maybe that was in the past. But I'm going to leave this up here just to check and see. Okay, Arnold is here. Good. Good. Sorry about that. Freaking Nightbot is expressing its authoritarian power for no reason. But I fixed it. So hopefully that won't happen again. But yeah, no, it's always very cool when you have moments like that, especially when it's out of the blue, and you just notice like, oh look, they are filming this here or they're filming that there. You happen to walk. I remember a long time ago, I was in the city late at night, and I just saw a car, like convertible car, driving around. And when I say at night, this is like 3 in the morning. This was when I was like in my 20s, I believe, or yeah, in my early 20s. And the car had all of this stuff on it. It had lights, cameras. There was another car in front of it, like basically leading the way, filming whoever was in the car. And it was Steve Martin. And I think it was Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn or some other actress with him. And they were filming just a movie randomly around the city that night. I guess it's a great time because there's nobody around, and with movie magic, you can make it look like it's just a normal evening and all that. So yeah, I think it's very awesome to see moments like that, and it's one of the benefits, I guess, of living in a major metropolitan city, or in Jester's case, living in a state where a lot of studios love filming because of the tax breaks that they get and all that. Right, so I think it's really awesome because I know Marvel uses Georgia a lot for a lot of their movies and a lot of things that they do over there. So, but I know Walking Dead, AMC was there with The Walking Dead for so many years. I went to a Walking Dead exhibit a couple of years ago, and I met a bunch of people who were visiting from Georgia because they were huge fans of the show, and I guess they did something in Georgia to kind of celebrate Walking Dead. So they heard about this exhibit that had so many props from the show. They came over to visit New York, and they went to see the exhibit. So I got a chance to talk to a lot because they saw me filming. And this is a video I've never even put on the channel yet because of timing. Life got in the way. But it's a video I'm planning to eventually put up on the channel to kind of celebrate The Walking Dead and this exhibit because it showed you a lot of stuff in there. And it was very cool. And all the people I spoke to who were visiting from Georgia were very happy to be there to see it. So Arnold has a question. What do you think of Star Wars series Skeleton, which will be released soon? Skeleton Crew with Jude Law. Um, I want to. I'll say this. I like the fact that, and this could be controversial for a lot of people, especially people in the fan base, but I like the fact that at least it doesn't always hit with them. You know, I think it's safe to say that Lucasfilm and Disney have been suffering with the Star Wars license. I've talked about it numerous times. I've had my grievances with it all. But I do like the fact that they're trying to put out content that relates to different generations. This is definitely geared and aimed towards a younger generation, kids, and I think it's cute. You know, a lot of people are comparing it to like The Goonies, which is, you know, I grew up with a movie like that, and that's like one of my favorite movies when I grew up. Um, and I like the fact that they're trying to do something like that. I don't know how well it's going to do or how good it's going to be, but as with everything, before I shit on it, I will watch it. Right now, Dune Prophecy is on Max that I haven't had a chance to see yet, and I want to check that out. I don't hear anyone talking about that show. Is anyone here watching Dune Prophecy? Because I definitely want to check that out. I haven't seen The Penguin yet. I haven't seen Agatha All Along yet. I haven't seen part 2 of the final season of Cobra Kai yet. I am so behind, so I'm hoping that this holiday week will allow me a chance to catch up on all of these things. So, but I will give it a shot, and I think it's cute. Arnold, what do you guys think? And oh yeah, what does everyone else think about Skeleton Crew coming out? Jester saying Marvel, DC, Walking Dead, Stranger Things. I'm starting to think Georgia might be a Hollywood DLC. It's definitely a Hollywood adjacent for sure. Like I said, Georgia, they give a lot of great tax breaks for these studios, so I'm sure they love filming there. So I'm hoping that sometime in February, I might be planning a trip to drive down to Florida because I'm helping my friend with his at this comic book convention in Florida, MegaCon in February. So I'm planning to drive down to Florida, and I'm hoping to stop by Georgia for a little bit just to check out some maybe his like filming locations and all that. So I want to make it a trip that I can, you know, do a lot of content for the channel for. So Jester, if you have any places or recommendations for me to check out as far as like filming locations or filming spots that are famous, let me know because I think that would be pretty cool if I get to check it out. All the final season of Cobra Kai is awesome. I won't spoil it, but it's awesome. I loved the part 1. Part 1 was fantastic. I love the major cliffhanger at the end of part 1 when, and you know, look, part 1 has been out for a while, so I'll just quickly say this. When Tori does that turn at the end, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I said that was amazing. And that was like really, really great. So I can't wait to check out part 2. And I have been hearing good things about it. But at the same time, not a lot of people are talking about it. So go figure. Arnold saying, I'm pretty sure it won't be a big success, but it's nice that they bring out something like that, which is just different. And we see a lot more creatures from the Star Wars world. I agree. Something in me is saying that it's going to bomb. And you're going to get a lot of people who are going to bitch about it. And a lot of people are going to be like upset about it. Those people, I think, are going to miss the point in a show like that. You know, and I think just overall, they're not the audience who are probably going to not like the show. Now, I'm not saying that, no, you know, it should only be a certain audience that watches that show. It's open to everybody. But at the same time, you have to be yourself open to the possibilities that this may be a very different type of show and not something that you may be experiencing or wanting, you know, which is perfectly fine. But if you give us more of the world, more of the aliens and the creatures out there, more of the universe, I'm cool with that, you know, as long as the story is interesting. Now, if the story is crap, well, then that's all on you. That's their fault, you know, for messing something like that up. But with the mandates that they got going on now for Star Wars, you know, especially limiting the amount of series that they have, and the huge focus on movies coming, it's going to be interesting to see how they shift all of that. But I still think at the end of the day, Lucasfilm and Disney are very confused on how to treat this property. This property that should basically generate content and success on its own because of what it's been able to do in the past. And there's so much different content available for this. It amazes me that they still don't know how to handle their movie division and TV division in a way that can resonate with more of the general audience. It's just, it baffles and boggles my mind. I just don't understand how could they mess that up so much. What do I think of a Grinch 2 movie? Is that something that's really happening? If it is, I'm so behind on knowing what that is. I think when I hear it, it sounds unnecessary to me, you know. But then again, this is Hollywood, right? So nothing is sacred. If they feel like they want to do a sequel to something, they'll do a sequel. Money talks, right? So personally, I think it's unnecessary, but you know, we'll see. I also do think that Paddington was unnecessary, but look how much of a success that was, right? So, you know, that's just me. No, but it would be so fun. It would be. What would you do from there? So at the end of the Grinch, right? He changes his heart. He returns all the gifts. He now is not angry. He's happy. He's now one with the Whoville family, right? So what could potentially happen from there? I don't know. There's a reason why I don't write for Hollywood, because I can't come up with ideas. But maybe if I was to address it, what if, right? What if one of the Who people gets jealous, or all of a sudden they get angry and they become a Grinch-like character, and now it's the Grinch trying to convince this person to calm your ass down and don't be like that. I don't know, something cheesy or corny like that. I could see that happening, but you know, who am I? I'm just some talking head on the internet with a YouTube channel. Yes, Chester. But on this Christmas night, his heart shrunk 3 sizes and he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Grinch 2 coming to theaters 2026. All right, let's talk about box office, shall we? Let's get into some of the box office weekend breakdown. Big stuff. Big stuff this weekend. So let me share my browser here. As always, I am on thenumbers.com. And number one at the box office with a huge amount of money is Wicked from Universal, $114 million opening weekend. This broke the record for the highest grossing Broadway adaptation movie since Into the Woods. I think Into the Woods was the last movie that had held the record of highest grossing Broadway adaptation. And I think it's like one of the highest grossing musicals in general in box office history. What is also funny to think about too, because I just watched the first Gladiator last night. I haven't seen Gladiator 2 yet. I'm planning to watch it either tonight or tomorrow. Because tomorrow I have the opportunity to watch Moana 2 already before the whole Thanksgiving rush. So I'm probably going to do that. But the first Gladiator was a Universal's picture. And it would have been funny if they still were able to be the studio behind Gladiator 2, because they would have just owned the whole box office weekend, Universal. But it's Paramount. It went to Paramount. So Wicked pulling in $114 million over the weekend. Globally, worldwide, it's at 162.5 with $50 million so far at the international box office. I don't think it's opened everywhere yet internationally. Most of that is coming from the UK, United Kingdom, with Australia, South Korea, and all that. Now, something to keep in mind, because I had a feeling Wicked was going to do crazy numbers because of the love and the fan base behind the musical itself. You also have to keep in mind Wicked toured all over the world. You know, I remember being in Japan when Wicked was a month away from debuting for the first time in Japan, and people were going nuts for this thing. So it is a universally loved musical. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who can't wait to check out the movie when it releases more in their countries and all that. When I saw it, I would say 70% of the audience were theater people because I had a chance to see it in Times Square, which I normally don't like to go these days because Times Square is like a major shit show. It's a lot of tourist traps, a lot of people smoking weed. It definitely is more reminiscent of the Times Square of the 80s where I grew up. But it's a little bit more family friendly, right? But the theater was packed because AMC, the theater that was I was at on Wednesday of last week, had multiple showings for a special screenings all throughout the evening, and tons of people were coming in and out to watch this movie. It's amazing the amount of people, and I could tell a lot of these people, just based on conversations I heard, they were all major fans of the musical and they really couldn't wait to see this movie. So I'm not surprised that it's made this much movie. Oh wait, did they just adjust the intake? Oh, look at this, just live. They just adjusted the intake. So instead of 114, it is now 112.5 million. I guess they adjusted all the numbers as they were all rolling in and all that. But still massive numbers there, right? And I think leading into this Thanksgiving week, it's going to do even greater numbers. You're not going to see like a huge drop off like we usually see. I think if anything, you might see like a 30% drop off. But I do think a lot of people are going to be watching this movie this week. Arnold saying, oh, you saw Red One? Too much action for me, but I like it 3.5 out of 5. Okay, well, at least you enjoyed it. Red One, I decided a long time ago I was not going to watch this movie. It just looked like very hokey, very cheesy, very corny. I'm a little fatigued with The Rock too, to be honest. So I was not planning on watching this movie myself personally. But I'm glad you got to see it and I'm glad you liked it. So at least you enjoyed it. But coming in at number 2 is Gladiator 2 with 55 million domestically. Now, this has already been opening internationally weeks prior to this past weekend. And you'll see how much of an impact the international box office has for this, because so far internationally, it's earned $165.5 million, making the worldwide box office total $220.5 million. I feel like this is the type of movie, and let me just see who's leading the international. You have the UK, France, Spain, Mexico, South Korea. It hasn't even hit China and Japan yet. This is the type of movie that will lead to great international box office because of, I guess, the genre of movie it is. Like these type of movies that are like sword and sandal, swashbuckling, those movies always perform well overseas. Domestically too, I think the first Gladiator came out when 2003 or something like that. Let me look this up. It came out a really long time ago. Go. I need some more caffeine. 2000. Holy cow. The first Gladiator movie came out freaking 24 years ago. And I think a lot of people were not expecting to see a sequel to this movie for such a long time. So I think they were originally projecting higher numbers for this opening weekend. I think it's a decent opening weekend. I think it's still going to do very well going into this coming week. And when it came to the first Gladiator movie, I think I saw it only twice back in 2000. And then when it came out on DVD, I saw it again. I couldn't remember a lot of the movie because it's been that long ago. So I made a point to watch it last night. And it is a good movie. It really is. I mean, it's definitely one of Ridley Scott's more like better recent movies. Russell Crowe's amazing in it. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing in it. Great acting and all that. But there are moments where the movie did feel kind of long. I mean, it was 2 hours and what was it, 2 hours and 50 minutes? That's a long ass movie, especially for a movie that came out in 2000. So, but I know there was a huge fan base for it. People like my generation are huge fans of it. So it looks like my generation definitely went out to support it. If anything, for a younger generation, the big draw would be Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal. I think word of mouth is going to help this movie proceed. I don't know if anyone else saw Gladiator 2, but I've heard decent stuff about it. I also have seen some people online kind of crap on it, saying it wasn't for them and blah, 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 this and that. I'll see for myself, and then I'll definitely put a review up on the channel for that. And I still owe a review for Wicked as well. And I'll talk about Wicked a little bit later after I go over this. Arnold saying Gladiator is amazing. Did you see this sequel, Arnold? I born 10/12/2000. I'm a real one. There you go. That is true. You were born the year of the Gladiator, so it's definitely a movie for you. Coming in third place, falling out of first place from last week, I believe it was, is Red One, the movie we were talking about before, The Rock, and J. Jonah Jameson himself, J.K. Simmons. Amazon's latest movie, holiday movie, which was overall a major flop for them. Pulled in 13.2 million over the weekend domestically, 52.8 overall domestically. I think worldwide, not that great. 64.2, that's not that bad actually. 117 million. But I heard the budget for this was over $200 million. So not great. Not great for them. I know full financials, they usually don't have it here, but I believe it was over 200. I think 250 was the budget for this movie. I really don't think they're going to be able to get that back for such a thing. So, yeah, Red One. In fourth place, you have Bonifer, Pastor, Spy Assassin from Angel Studios. Angel Studios, they are very known for putting out faith-based programming, faith-based movies. So this is another one that they're putting out. 5 million domestically. These movies, they don't usually make a lot of money, but they do get a lot of support. So and I think they're done for very little budget. So I think that it's going to end up doing well for them, especially going into this holiday week. Venom: The Last Dance dropped from second place to fifth with $3.8 million, 133.7 million so far domestically. Worldwide, we're looking at, look at that international box office. Again, these movies do brilliantly internationally. 322.6 so far internationally, with a worldwide box office of $456.3 million. Look, I don't like this franchise at all. This last movie was pointless. I gave it a 1-star rating on Letterboxd. I was bored. By the end of the movie, I was wondering why this movie exists. But as you can see, there are a lot of people that love this movie, that love this franchise. That's why Sony will be able to make more and more and more of these movies, regardless of how bad they could be. The box office speaks for itself. People's wallets are telling Sony, we love the Venom franchise, give us more. And you can see, look at that. That is amazing. So domestically, it may not be doing so hot, but because of their international numbers, it is definitely blowing up. Arnold saying, I saw Gladiator 2, but the first part remains the first part. So when you say that, are you saying, without spoiling anything, Gladiator 2 basically stands on its own and it doesn't really relate too much to Gladiator, the first one? Arnold saying Venom only 5. What the F? I understand, no think in Venom Last Dance. Yeah, the movie just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But and the biggest disappointment, and I think the biggest thing that they did to upset a lot of people, at least people that I know, was you tease so much this one villain, but he shows up maybe at most 5 minutes in the movie and doesn't really do much of anything. I mean, that really was like mind-boggling to me, but it is what it is. Coming in sixth is The Best Christmas Pageant Ever from Lionsgate. Now, last week I said this was like a faith-based holiday movie, which is still Christian. It is very Christian. But I had no idea that this was based on a very popular kids book. So no wonder why it has a lot of good support out there for a movie like this. 3.4 million domestically over the weekend, 25.4 so far domestically overall. Heretic drops from 4th to 7th, the A24 latest horror movie, $2.2 million. 24.7 so far domestically. That is Hugh Grant. I still haven't seen this yet, but I still am very curious for it. The Wild Robot, which is available on demand now, and it's amazing that it still can do these type of numbers in the theaters. 2.1 million over the weekend, 140.8 domestically overall, with a worldwide box office total of 317.7 million for this movie. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I still have yet to see this movie, but I think it's done very well for itself. So very, very good job on their part. And in ninth, you have Conclave. This may end up becoming one of my favorite movies of the year. I'll realize it when, I kind of do my recap of the year, but I loved Conclave. I really did. It's from Focus Features, Ralph Fiennes, huge cast. Sorry, not Ralph, Ray Fiennes, sorry. 1.1 million domestically over the weekend, 29 so far. I think this movie deserves to make more. It is a political drama in the Vatican. And it's intriguing. It's, stressful to watch sometimes. It's like almost like those old school political dramas that I really miss. And they did a really good job with this movie. And I think more people should go out and see it. And then running out the top 10 is Smile 2 from Paramount Pictures, 1.1 million over the weekend, 67.7 million domestically so far, worldwide 135.8 million. These movies are not done with a lot of budget, so I'm sure they're doing pretty well for itself. I've heard very mixed things about this movie. I thought the first Smile was good, different, almost like a throwback to old school movie making, like horror movie making, but I've heard mixed feelings about this sequel there. So there you go. So that's the weekend box office. Now, before we go into what are the expectations for this upcoming Thanksgiving, let's talk about Wicked real quick, because again, this was something that I was not expecting. No, let me rephrase that. I was expecting this movie to do extremely well. Why am I just showing my desktop there? That was weird. I'm losing my mind. And as you can see, I have so many damn icons on my desktop. But yeah, let me talk about Wicked real quick. Because like I said, I was expecting it to do well over the weekend. I wasn't expecting it to do as well as it did, but I heard a lot of rumors and rumblings that this is gonna do gangbusters at the box office, and so far it has, and I think it has a lot of way to go. Because of that, it definitely upped my expectations and estimates as far as how well it's gonna do overall at the box office. I think initial projections were like 500 million, 600 million. I won't be surprised if it does 700, especially with more of the international market coming in. It has potential to do that. Plus, this is the type of movie that will have legs. It will have legs going into this Thanksgiving holiday, and it will continue to do well going into the Christmas holiday season. So more and more families are going to be able to see this once, twice. It's a musical. A lot of people I know saw the Broadway musical 3 times, 4 times. I only saw it once. Once was enough for me. But once was enough to tell me that this musical is probably one of the best musicals I've ever seen. And I'm not a musical guy at all. But, it was very enjoyable, the musical itself. So I'm not surprised if this movie will do extremely well. Now, going into this and looking at the trailers, I had this strong feeling. By the way, Arnold, I think the symbiote is in Trump. Yeah, probably. The symbiote is definitely going to be taking over the government in the United States for sure in the next 4 years. Jester saying, I just don't know why they got the bass player from Lemonade Mouth to be the main character. I didn't realize that she was an actual musician, Jester. So thank you for telling me about that. I had no idea. Because I don't really listen to a lot of new music these days. So that's fascinating. I find that to be extremely fascinating. Did you see Smile 2, Jester? I'm just curious if you saw it and if you liked it. So, looking at the trailers for Wicked, for some reason, it just screamed Hollywood schlock to me. It just looked very cheesy, over the top CG, and it just didn't look like a movie that I would enjoy personally. It looked like it was catering too much to that Barbie crowd in a way. And you've heard me talk about it here on this stream, on this show. I kept saying that I don't think this movie is going to be very good. I don't think this is going to be, this is going to do well. Then I've been hearing grumblings out of screenings and all that. And people are saying, like, hey, get ready, buckle up. You'll be surprised. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. We'll see. I went to see it Wednesday. I was, very happy to see the movie theater bustling because it's rare these days to see a movie theater so crowded with people. But again, I was in Times Square. I'm like in the heart of where Broadway is. So I'm not surprised if a lot of people, Broadway people, theater people, were going to watch this movie because AMC was one of the only theaters in that location that was, streaming, that was having these special screenings on that night. So I went into it. My expectations were nowhere really. It was just kind of like low or just medium, right? So I went in. And again, I vaguely remember the musical. It's been a long time since I saw the musical. And I only saw it once. Man, did this movie surprise the hell out of me. My tune changed, no pun intended, literally halfway through the first act. I was surprised on how much I was enjoying this movie. There had a lot of things going well for it. And I think one of its biggest strengths is that when it sticks very closely to the musical, it's brilliant. It's entertaining, it's fun. I am not an Ariana Grande fan. Never been. But something changed when I saw her on Saturday Night Live when she hosted. And I realized, you know what? She can be funny. She has pretty decent timing. And she doesn't, at least when she does her comedy, she doesn't take herself too seriously, right? And the Glinda character is very much a personality of someone who's very full of themselves, right? And everyone else around them is very low. And she pulled off that character extremely well. And the chemistry that she had with Cynthia, oh my God, it was just very dynamic. It was very energetic. And I believed it. I believed that these were two people that literally hated each other. And then slowly grew into a friendship. And the music was on point. Bowen Yang is a supporting character in this. And again, I'm a big SNL guy. And he was extremely funny in his moments on screen. But it reminded me very much just like watching Into the Woods back in the day. Into the Woods, for the longest time, was one of my favorite Broadway adaptations. Yeah, West Side Story was okay. The Spielberg West Side Story was good. I enjoyed that. Into the Heights was also good. Another John Chu directed musical, The Heights. So I'm not surprised that John was able to bring this much entertainment and joy out of this movie. Funny thing is, too, like when the title card came out and it said part 1, a lot of people were surprised by that. And I knew that going in, that they were not marketing this as a part 1 of 2. So I think a lot of people were not expecting that to happen. And I called it. I said, I guarantee you this movie is going to end with the big, big number of Defying Gravity. Just like how in the musical, when you watch the musical on Broadway, that's when the intermission cuts in, right? And it's a perfect kind of cliffhanger to kind of cut things off. And I knew it. And they did the same thing here. They kind of recreated the Broadway theatrical thing where um, Cynthia, the Wicked Witch, is hovering high up into the sky, and her robe is just like flowing down, where she becomes this big, enormous, like kind of like character, this big, ominous character. And when you see it on stage, because of the stage production, it's amazing how they were able to pull this off. Here, it's a lot of CG, and this is where the movie suffers from a bit. The third act veered a little bit away from the whole musical of it, and it became another one of your typical high visual effects, CG, action packed fantasy action type of movies where there was a lot of action going on around, a lot of CG effects, a lot of flying around, a lot of this and that and all that. And I felt that took me out of it. That took me out of, because for a long time of watching the movie, I did feel like I was watching a true, almost one-to-one musical adaptation from stage to screen. And that was one of its biggest strengths. When they veered away from that and turned into like a fantasy action movie, that's when it lost me. And you could kind of tell too that there were a lot of moments where they kind of dragged it out and stretched it just for sake of time. This movie, part one, is 2.5 hours. When the musical itself, if I remember correctly, was like 3 hours. So what the hell are they going to do in part two in order for them to fill 2 hours worth of movie? I don't know. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gave it only a 4 stars out of 5. It's because there are a lot of moments that dragged and stretched, and you could feel it. And the third act suffered a little bit for me. But other than that, surprised the hell out of me how much I enjoyed this movie. You know, and I'll tell you, if there's any part of you that enjoys watching musicals at all, you have to go watch this movie. I think you're going to definitely enjoy it. And I love that the movie wasn't ruined for me. No one in the theater was singing any of the songs. Some theaters, if you follow me on X or Instagram, so I posted this picture that the theater I was at had a plaque that said, please don't ruin the movie for everyone else and don't sing along with the songs and everything. And, you know, I shared my story of how A Star is Born, the Lady Gaga movie, how that movie was ruined because I had 2 women on my left who kept singing every time Lady Gaga was on screen, and it totally ruined the movie for me. So I'm so glad that didn't happen here. But yeah, I was really, really shocked on how much entertainment I got out of this movie. Cynthia is brilliant. She is fantastic. She is definitely the main heart and soul of this movie. But the chemistry that she has with Ariana works. It really, really works. And I was not expecting that one bit. I really wasn't. And who's this? Oh my God. Jeff Goldblum as the wizard. I thought, you know, he did a very good job. Very, very good job. I'm sure we'll see more of him in part 2, but for his part in part 1, I think he did a really, really good job. The only thing that was kind of underwhelming to me was Michelle Yeoh's performance. She looks fantastic, but yeah, her character was just okay. Yeah, did it really? She was supposed to be like the mentor teacher, right? But I didn't really feel that that thing that, you know, kind of like gives you the sense of like, oh yeah, she's a respectable teacher, or like, oh wow, I should be in awe every time she's on screen. I really didn't get that feeling at all. And for those of you who are familiar with the musical, you know that there is kind of like that twist at the end. So very, very good stuff. So again, I was very, very surprised and shocked on how much I enjoyed this movie. But I am planning to do a separate review on the channel for it. Because I know a lot of people will know that I just reviewed the movie on this show. But for those of you who are here, Arnold, Jester, and the like, thank you for indulging. let me get to the chat real quick. Arnold saying, I know many will hate me, but Wicked, I just find ridiculous. 0 out of 5. Arnold, did you see it? Gesture, I know it's not based on musical, but I quite like Tick Tick Boom. Oh, that movie is with Andrew Garfield. That is fantastic. I like that. I like that movie a lot. That should have had a chance in the theaters instead of just being on Netflix, because I think that would have done really well. Arnold, what I've noticed lately, and I don't know if others are like that, but people around the world are getting more boring from movies year to year, though all the technology and specific effects. Many expect more and more and more. I don't know how things should go in the future. Personally, what I think is that it's not people are bored of movies. And I think people are just very selective on how they spend their money going to movies these days. And we already kind of saw that in 2017, 2018, 2019, when box office numbers start to dip a little bit more and more and more. Plus, the output from Hollywood has been questionable for a lot of people. The thing that really hurt movies is the pandemic. When people realized they could just watch movies at home, or the only thing they could do at that time was watch movies at home, with technology at home improving, better TVs, better sound systems, better streaming services, or should I say, so many streaming services, multiple streaming services, you have access to so much content, right? And every month you're paying what? $20, $25, $30, depending on how many platforms you own. $30 is how much you would spend on 1.5 movie tickets here in New York. A movie ticket in New York costs anywhere between $16 to $21. For 2 people, you're talking about almost $40 for one night at the movie theater. It's expensive for a lot of people. Not to mention if you want to buy popcorn and drinks. When I wanted to watch Wicked, I decided to treat myself a little bit. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a large popcorn and a large drink. And I had a little bit of like credit from AMC, $5 coupon I can use. I still paid $20 for popcorn and soda, which is insane. So for an individual, if you were in Times Square like me and you went to watch Wicked, you spent $18 on your movie ticket plus $20 for a giant popcorn and a large soda. You're $30 already in the hole. That's a lot of money for one person, right? So I think more and more people are being selective with their choices of what to go and watch movies, how to go into the theater and watch movies. Now, I also do feel like a lot of the general audiences, they are looking for things that will excite them and entertain them more. And that's why you're going to start seeing studios pay more attention to sequels. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, why can't we get anything original anymore? Because no one goes out and supports them. I just talked about before Conclave, how that movie is great political drama throwback, great acting and performances and all that. No one went out to see that movie. More people should be watching that movie. But instead, people are going to see Wicked, an adaptation of something that already exists. Gladiator 2, a sequel of a movie from 24 years ago, right? Prior to that, you see like Venom 3. And people are going out and supporting sequels because it's properties that they enjoy, they want to see more of. No one is going out and watching original movies. When most people are complaining that Hollywood is not making any more original movies. So what is it? I don't know what it is. And I don't know what's going to help things. I don't know what's going to save it. I've said this many times in the past. I think movie theaters need to find ways to cut the prices of tickets. And they need to work out deals with the studios to reconfigure how that system works. Because if they want people coming back to theaters, they need to find ways to make it cheaper because it's way too expensive. That's why I subscribe to those movie plans, those movie passes for theaters. I have one for my local theater here. And, in any given month, you guys know, I talk about it all the time. I watch 5-6 movies a month, and that saves me so much money. I'm only paying like $25 a month for this thing. And I don't always buy popcorn at the theater, but when I do, because I'm a member of that, I have a little discount, you know. So it they need to figure out more and more ways to, for the general audience, not for people like me. For people like me, we find ways to save money going to movies. For that person that maybe watches 2 or 3 movies a year, they need to find ways to have that same person come back for 4, 5, 6 times a year. And it has to do with the prices of tickets. I think concessions will always be expensive because that's the only way movie theaters make money. That's why you'll also see more merchandise at movie theaters. You're going to see more popcorn buckets. This was the year of the popcorn bucket. Every major movie had a popcorn bucket, you know. And this is not new. In past years they've been doing this, but this has been the breakout year for the popcorn bucket. Why? Because that's pure revenue to the movie theater. Studios don't get any bit of the dime to that. Maybe they have to pay a little bit for the licensing, but the majority of the money earned from those popcorn bucket sales goes directly to the movie theater chain. You're going to see more and more of that. A whole lot more of that. So, yeah. So, maybe there is a portion of the audience that is bored of just movies in general. And I do know a lot of people watch TV more days than movies. But we'll see what happens moving forward, especially when you have a lot of these we have so many sequels coming out in the next couple of years that have been pushed back. Let's see what happens to movie theaters, especially movie theater going audiences in the next couple of years. Arnold saying, you don't want to know how much I paid for the Lord of the Rings marathon last time. Oh, I could imagine. I can only imagine. By the way, Arnold shared with me that he recently went to watch all the extended versions of The Lord of the Rings in the theater. 9 hours straight. So Arnold deserves a medal. It reminded me of when I did a similar thing way back in the day when Return of the King was releasing. I saw in theaters the extended versions of Fellowship, The Two Towers, which led into the midnight opening of Return of the King. So that was a very, very long stint. Not as long as my Marvel Avengers 2 marathon, which was, 21 movies in a row? That lasted basically almost 2 days. Yeah, I will never, ever do that again. I think I would have died if I did that today. Jester saying, I thought Hamilton was okay, but personally, I think Tick, Tick, Boom is the best work of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can see why you would say that in a movie perspective. I think Hamilton is a fantastic musical. I've never had a chance to see it on Broadway. I saw the Disney Plus version of it, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I could see why a lot of people love that musical. But as far as like a movie, yeah, Tick Tick Boom is definitely one of the better Lin-Manuel involved movies, and I think he's sometimes too involved in too many things. So Arnold saying 21 movies, what's wrong with you, bro? Yeah, because this was leading into Age of Ultron. So what they did is that they had all the MCU movies leading to Age of Ultron. So you're okay, let's count them out. So it's let's pull up a list of MCU movies. All right. Let us pull this up so I can share with you what I endured at the movie theater. Now, what was great about this theater is that they allowed you to kind of step out for a bit to like stretch your legs, walk around. I used to be a smoker back then, so I would use that for my smoke breaks. And there were certain movies that I elected that I knew, okay, during this movie, I'll take a nap because these movies were kind of boring and all that. I'm talking about like Thor 2 and all that. But you had Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America First Avenger, then the Avengers, right? So that's 6 already. Now, you had Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was the movie that I think I started to nap in a little bit. Then Thor Dark World, I definitely slept through all the way. Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy. You now have 10. right? It Avengers Age of Ultron makes it 11. Oh, so it's only 11. So it's not 21 movies. Why did I feel like, you know what? It felt like I watched 21 movies. So I only saw 11 movies straight. But still, that's a lot of damn movies. So, yeah. But they did the same thing. Oh, I know where the number 21 came from because I think recently they did another thing where you could watch all the movies leading to what was it? I think they were leading to Endgame. Yeah, they were leading to Endgame. And I said to my friends, I am not doing that because I will die. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then Endgame. That's where I got the number 21 from. Yeah. So they did another marathon for the release of Endgame. You had to watch the 21 movies leading into Endgame. I said, nah, I am not doing that. I am going to die. But I did the 11 movies going into Avengers 2. And at the end of the movie, when everything was all said and done, everyone got like an Avengers medal, kind of like we survived kind of thing. Kind of like when you run a marathon and they give you the medals. Like we got one of those. And I think that is the most hilarious thing I ever got. But I could never do that again. Never. I did the only other marathon I did in the theater was all the Star Wars movies leading into The Force Awakens. So that was, the 6 movies. That was the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, going into The Force Awakens. I did that, and I was with a group with that. So, but I think after that, and then after the Avengers thing, I said I can't do this anymore. This is way too much for me. Um, and especially now in my age, I can't. There's just no way I can do that. Arnold says respect, bro. Jester, oh, did you see the Moana 2 teasers? The Rock has to wear a muscle suit for it. No, I didn't see that. Arnold asking if I still have the medal. I think I do. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is now. Um, at least I hope I do. There was a moment many, many years ago. I was kind of strapped for money. It is possible I could have sold it on eBay. I don't know. I hope I didn't though. Now that I think about it, I hope I didn't. I hope I have it like stored somewhere because that is an accomplishment I could never do again. And it's a nice little kind of like I guess keepsake of that moment in time, you know. So, well, I'll be moving in the next week, like in the next month, month and a half. So I'm sure I'm going to be digging through a lot of stuff as I move next door. So I'm sure if I have it, I'll definitely come across it. Yeah, and if I do, I'll let you guys know, and maybe I'll have it displayed in the background somewhere. Um, no, the Moana 2 teasers, The Rock has to wear a muscle suit. No, I didn't see that. Was he doing that at the premiere, or is that promotion for the live action Moana movie they're coming out with? All right, let's talk about Thanksgiving. So this week is Thanksgiving, and like I've said multiple times, this has the potential to be one of the biggest Thanksgiving weekends for movies at the box office when you have Moana 2 coming out. And I wanted to quickly take a look at records for Thanksgiving. So, and then let's play a little game. Let's have some like predictions here. Let's have some fun with this. So when you combine the totals of Wicked and Gladiator from this past weekend, you're talking about roughly $170 million domestically, right? This past weekend, just for those 2 movies. I think Moana 2, here, let me share my screen. I think Moana 2 has the potential to pull in $120 million this week. So let's play a little game. I'll pull up my little calculator here. All right. And it'll be fun to kind of look in to see how close I was for all of this. So if Moana 2 does 120 million, right? I think Wicked has a good shot of pulling in another 80 million this week. Right? So that's 200 million right there. Now, Gladiator, I think, has a potential to pull in, let's just say 40 million, right? Wait, did I do something wrong here? Hold on. Let's start over. 120 plus 80 plus 40. So that's $240 million domestically alone, right? And these are just, I'm just lowballing these estimates right now. So if you have 240 million for this week, right? And remember, for Thanksgiving, they count it two ways. They do the full 5 days, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? But if you do the 3-day weekend, that's a whole different separate stat that they keep. But they usually do the 5-day and then the 3-day. So for this, I'm only using the 3-day weekend for this. If on Thursday and Wednesday, it pulls in a combined total of maybe an extra 50 million, we could be looking at $290 to $300 million for this week. Now, estimates are saying that this Thanksgiving week, they're estimating over 300 million domestically at the box office here in the United States. We're not even counting globally because, again, Thanksgiving is only celebrated here in the United States. But of course, global numbers will also come into play for worldwide numbers. But this is huge, huge numbers. So I was curious. I was kind of looking back to see what other Thanksgiving had the highest box office tally as far as movies is concerned. And that's 2018. I found this article here in the Hollywood Reporter. Thanksgiving 2018 holds the record for generating the most revenue in terms of overall ticket sales for the 5-day holiday corridor, which runs from Wednesday before the holiday through Sunday. See exactly what I said. According to ComScore, which they're like the official tracker for a lot of the box office numbers, that year it was led by Ralph Breaks the Internet. Remember that movie, the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph? 84.7 million. Creed 2 pulled in 56 million. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald pulled in 42.3 million. Revenue reached 315.6 million over the 5 days, the only time it's cracked 300 million according to ComScore. I think the previous record holder before this was in 2012, and that was held by one of the Twilight movies. I forget which one. So I think Moana is actually going to do much better than Ralph Breaks the Internet. You know, again, you have a lot of people who are huge fans of the first movie. Yes, The Rock is in it, even though he's just a voice, but I think that still leads to people saying, oh, I like The Rock in this movie. I think that's still going to do well. I think Wicked has a great chance at repeating the same performance it did this past weekend. Again, my estimates are very low balling it. You know, I said maybe 80 million this week. I won't be surprised if it does more than that. You know? So, and Gladiator, I think, will do decently. Maybe word of mouth will help it push it up a little bit more. But it had there, you know, 315.6 million 2018. I'm guesstimating 290 million, maybe 300 this week. We'll see if it gets to break that record, you know, but still for 290 million to 300 for a holiday weekend is amazing. And I'm sure it's going to make the studios extremely happy when it's all said and done. You have to keep in mind too, like I said before, the conversation I was having with you guys, I said that not a lot of people are going to like movies these days for various reasons, right? It's expensive, blah, 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 this and that. 2018 was a different situation. People were still, you know, freely going to theaters and all that. And release windows for home digital were not so tight, so short. And I think studios are starting to learn from that because they are now extending their release windows as to when people can watch movies at home. I guarantee you, Moana 2 won't be available to watch at home for like another 4, 5, maybe 6 months. They're gonna use the same thing that they did with Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2. They're gonna let this thing ride the theaters for as long as they can. Wicked, I guarantee you, Universal's probably thinking the same thing. They're like, nope, we're gonna let this thing ride out as much as it can, as much as possible. If Paramount was smart, they'll do the same exact thing with Gladiator 2. They'll keep that release window long from here, way past the new year, you know, because these movies have potential to have legs to go into the Christmas holiday season. So if they have all that working for them, then I guarantee you these movies will do really well for the rest of the year. And keep in mind, we also have a lot of big movies coming out next year too. I mean, next month. You know, I don't think Craven's is going to do much. You know, I think Craven's going to disappoint at the box office, even though I'm looking forward to it. But let's check out what's coming out for the month of December here. And I know I went from Thanksgiving to December, but I'm just curious here. You have The Night Bitch, which I already saw. I'm going to review that on the channel soon. Werewolves, meh, I don't know if that's going to do any great. Maria, I think to certain audiences that might do well. I saw that at New York Film Festival. It's a great movie. September 5 was the movie I saw this week. Yes, I saw an early screening of September 5 or September 5th. I do have to say that that movie is another good movie that I guarantee you no one's going to go see, but people should. Really great. You have the Lord of the Rings animated movie coming out, right? The Brutalist, which is an epic Adrian Brody period film I saw at New York Film Festival. Really well done. Mufasa the Lion King. So you have Mufasa, Sonic 3 coming out in December, all around the same time. Sonic is going to do well first weekend, and then it's going to trail off. Mufasa has a potential to do extremely well for the remainder of the year. But I don't know. I think Moana 2 and Wicked has the potential to do better overall than Mufasa. My personal thing I'm waiting for is Nosferatu. I can't wait for that movie to come out, and that's how you're going to close the year out. So yeah. So I do think this week potential overall box office domestic for the major movies, Wicked, Moana 2, and Gladiator 2. You're talking about 290, 300, I think. If it does more than that, major surprise. I'll be more than happy for them to do that. If they could break 2018's record of 315, it'll be phenomenal. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I think these three movies will have legs to go into the Christmas holiday season and still do well at the box office. So it'll be curious to see how, when it's all said and done, what's going to happen there. Kevin Davis is back in the house with his predictions. But before I get into that, let me quickly go into Jester say, I say teasers, but it really leaks. They're shooting it in very public places. It's all over TikTok. Oh, that's for the Moana live action movie. Got it. I'm sure he has to wear the muscle suits in order because he doesn't work out like he used to, really. And I'm pretty sure in post with special effects, they have to make him look like Maui, right? So this big brooding kind of presence. So I'm sure they're gonna do that. Arnold saying, if someone asks you, hey, do you like Marvel, when you show the medal and ask the question to sell? I know, right? That's true. If I find the medal, I should always have, hey, do you like the Marvel movies? I just hold up the medal. It's like, what do you think? Kevin Davis. All right, here's the slew of predictions here. Moana 2 domestic box office debut 130 to 150, a little bit higher than what I was saying. I said maybe 120. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week. Wicked global box office total run prediction 400 to 600. I still say it has potential to do 700. I think it's going to do more than that. I think people are underestimating overseas. Mufasa Lion King domestic box office 100 to 130. I think Lion King, it's coming out during the holidays. So yeah, I would say maybe 110. maybe 100 on the low end. I'll be honest. Because of people like me who I know were disappointed with the first Lion King movie, I won't be surprised if it does 90. That's just me. Sonic 3 domestic office debut 40 to 60. I would say, yeah, I would say that's fair. Um, I don't know. A lot of let's look at the box office history when it comes to the Sonic movies. Because I am curious. I'm curious because let's see. Sonic, the first Sonic, when it came out, let's see here, did 58 million opening weekend. Big hit for Paramount, right? Sonic 2, I'm sorry, I forgot, I'm not. Sonic 2, opening weekend, did 72.1 million. Massive increase from the first Sonic. You know, and this was what year? This was a pandemic year too. This was 2022. So I'll say this. I'll call it. I'll say Sonic 3 does 80. Because it's getting higher and higher. And I'm telling you, I didn't personally enjoy Sonic 2. I thought it was kind of boring. But every kid in that audience loved it. And when they did that big reveal at the end of the movie, that Shadow was coming, they lost their flipping minds over it. So I won't be surprised if Sonic 3 does 80. Plus, I heard decent stuff about the Knuckles show on Paramount. Was it Paramount or Peacock? One of those. I heard a lot. I heard people enjoyed that show. I never saw it. Yeah, I was not really interested in it. So I think it was smart in Paramount. Yeah, it was Paramount, sorry. On Paramount's part to kind of lead into Sonic 3 by putting that Knuckles show on the platform. So I won't be surprised if Sonic 3 does 80. Now, the funny story would be if Sonic 3 outperforms Mufasa. You know, what would happen if that becomes the case? Because you have literally both of them coming out the same weekend. So that's the bigger question here. Which one will outperform the other? Will Mufasa outperform Sonic or vice versa? Or the reverse, I should say. I don't know. It's going to be a tight race. I personally think Sonic will win that weekend. Call me crazy, but I think Sonic will win that weekend and beat Mufasa. So if that's the case, I think that drops Mufasa down from 90 to maybe possibly 80 or 70, and Sonic doing potential 80. I think that's really what's going to happen here, you know? And like I said, if the first Lion King wasn't such a disappointment, then I would be saying a totally different story from here. But for me personally, and I know a lot of other people who are very disappointed with the first Lion King live action, you know, it was too much of a one-to-one recreation, and it was unbelievable. Not in a good way. Like, I couldn't believe the emotions from any of the animals because they had no expressions on their faces. So it felt very bland. Very bland. So I think this weekend, I'm restructuring my predictions here. Sonic 3 will win that weekend, beating Mufasa. Sonic will probably make 90, 80 to 90. Mufasa will make 70. Max. That's what I'm saying. AKB is in the house. What's going on, AKB? Sonic 3 beats Mufasa. The Disney remakes have been lackluster for the past few years. I'm not going to argue with that at all. What was the last musical, the last live action remake Disney put out? Wasn't it this year? Oh, Little Mermaid. I thought Little Mermaid was fantastic, though. I will say that. You know what? Let's look at that. What did the Little Mermaid do? I think this was last year. Little Mermaid came out. While this is loading up, I'm going to AKB's prediction: Sonic 3 breaks 100 million barely. I'm assuming you're saying opening weekend. That's a huge number there. So we'll see what happens, but I'll put you down 100 million. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 2023, Little Mermaid. Look how much money this movie made. This was one of those movies that had a slow uptick where it started slow, but then it kept going and going and going. And it became one of the highest grossing movies of that summer, I remember. So opening weekend, look at that. Opening weekend, despite how lackluster, I agree with AKB, the live action stuff from Disney have been really bad, mostly. This wasn't an exception. It was also very enjoyable, in my opinion. But opening weekend, it did 95.5 million. So, I don't know. Will that transfer over to Mufasa? I'll say this. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Mufasa. You know, I really don't. Little Mermaid is a different story. Little Mermaid has a lot of representation in there. When you're talking to a fan base that may be more females versus males, that can lend to better outcome. And it's an actual adaptation of something. Mufasa is a brand new take. This is a prequel to The Lion King. Now, I think they did something direct to DVD once or direct to video, but they've never done like an official prequel to The Lion King that was released theatrically in animated form. So, in a way, this is a big, big risk for Disney to do something like this. It'll be a different story if they were doing like, I don't know, if Lilo and Stitch was coming out this year. That could be a different story. But this is a prequel to something that was never done yet, officially. We'll see what happens. We'll see. You know, I enjoyed Little Mermaid. I thought Little Mermaid was, with the exception of the two slobs that were sitting on my right that kept singing and laughing out loud to everything. Oh man, the stories I have for all my movie theater experiences, I'm telling you. I eventually one of these days I should make a series. If I knew how to animate, I would love to have an animated series of all my experiences at the movie theater. Like all the funny stories I have, it would be so good. You know, maybe later on down the line, if this channel makes money, thanks to supporters like all of you guys, then I think that is a project I would love to work on. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to have, you know, to see what's going to transpire this week with Thanksgiving hitting and what's going to happen at the box office. It's going to be really, really interesting. I would love to hear all of your other predictions, all your guesses, all your estimates. What are you looking forward to? We are now turning that corner for the end of the year. I can't believe we're already here after everything we've experienced this year. But what movies are you looking forward to? What movies are you looking forward to hearing me talk about? Let me know in the comments and all of that stuff. And Kevin Davis, always thank you. Also, by the way, if you see AKB Mobile in the chat, you see how he has that lovely orange star? That's because he's been a member now of the channel for a while. He has been a member. Let's see. Hold on. I can easily look this up. Give me 1 second, everybody, as I look this up. AKB has been a member of the channel now for 10 months. So I thank AKB for the support there. As always, the easiest way to support the channel. And you know I don't ask. I'm not an e-beggar or anything like that. You notice I don't even mention it at all. If you become a member of the channel just for $1, it's a great way to help support the channel. And I always greatly appreciate it. All right. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. Just saying, I know it's not coming out this year, but I'm excited for Thunderbolts. I am too. In a way, I am too. I think also for me, I am very curious as to how Marvel's going to look like movie wise moving forward. With all the backlash, all the turmoil, all the restructuring, and all those things, I am very curious how these movies are going to resonate now moving forward. You know, and Thunderbolts was something that I always found to be very interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very, very curious. AKB saying happy to support small change for big great content. Thank you. Well, no, thank you. Thank you and thank all of you. And like I said, you don't have to support in those ways. Just you being here watching is more than enough. And I'm always very happy for that. You know, I'd be happy if you hit that like button too. So thank you. Kevin Davis saying, I notice people rooting against Anthony Mackie, Captain America. He doesn't deserve that at all. I agree. He doesn't deserve that at all. I don't know why that is. Actually, I do know why that is, and I'd rather not talk about it. But I liked his transition into Captain America. But I also like the fact that, and I don't know if this was something inherently done by Marvel and Disney, but within the MCU, there's also backlash with him becoming Captain America. So it's kind of like art imitating life in a way, right? And I don't know if that was planned or if that's something they kind of just honed in on and they kind of like ran with it and created stories around it. But Anthony Mackie does not deserve that type of lack of support or rooting against. Regardless of what you hear people say about how Rudy is in person and blah blah blah. And I several months ago I saw online an outlet, an owner of an outlet, saying the worst person he's ever interviewed and he never wants to interview again is Anthony Mackie. I don't know what it is. You know, maybe it's a vibe thing where if Anthony just captures, like he just sees a bad vibe coming from you, maybe it turns him off. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've never met the man. And even if I did, I'm not going to run up to him with my cell phone all out and say, Mr. Mackie, oh my gosh. And then I'm going to be now filming a TikTok video of me bitching him out of how rude he is. I'm not going to do that. You know, I know how to treat people with respect, especially like celebrities. I don't run up to them, ask for an autograph or anything like that. If they catch my eye and I catch their eye, I do one of these things. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And that's it. I treat them just like you, like normal people. And they appreciate that even more. So, plus I'm not like a celebrity like hound. I'm not like, you know, I don't go nuts for those things. You know, with this other side job that I do, I have a chance to meet multiple quote unquote famous people. You know, recently at Rhode Island Comic Con, I met Priscilla Presley and William Shatner in the same day. I didn't go nuts. You know, I talked to Priscilla as if just a regular conversation. And given that I really enjoyed that movie of hers, Priscilla, directed by Sofia Coppola, I asked about the movie. I said, how was it working with Sofia Coppola? You know, and she said, oh my God, she was so nice and she's so smart and blah. And I said, I really enjoyed her movies and I really enjoyed that movie. You know, I thought it was really a powerful story and she really appreciated that. With the Shat, all I said, what's up, Shatner? Thank you for your time. You know? And on the same day, I also had a chance to meet Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk herself. And she was the sweetest person ever. At New York Comic Con, I met Josh Brolin. Had a nice little laugh about a leak of him being in the new Running Man movie. Got a nice little chuckle out of that. I don't go crazy. When I go to New York Film Festival, I see people all the time. And I'm just like, hey, how's it going? You know, it's all about a vibe. And I think, you know, especially with the whole paparazzi and social media stuff, it turns them off when they see people are just like, uh-oh, this looks like it's going to be trouble. calm down. They'll be as nice as possible, but if you're just like on an 11 when they need you at a 7, I can see how people will be like, whoa, you know. Just saying, Josh Brolin seems like such a good guy. He is. He was. I mean, when I met him, he was like the coolest dude. And one great thing about him is that I was there on a job securing signatures for somebody, and when he signed one of the books, he noticed it didn't come out great, and he himself called it out. I was like, "Oh wait, this didn't come out so great. What would you like me to do? You know what? Let's try this again." Grabbed another marker, tried to do it over again. I hope that's better. Blah blah blah. And he, thanked me for our time. Again, like I said, we had a nice chuckle over the Running Man headline, and I thought that was really really funny. So, yeah, he was very very cool dude. Just to have a quick, you know, not even a minute back and forth with. Very very cool. All right, what shall we talk about for the remainder of the stream today? Not going to go too long today. I'm going to cap it at 2 hours. So let's check out some of the latest headlines, shall we? A lot of stuff coming out recently in news and so on and so forth. I guess this is going to be something interesting to talk about, because from not hearing anything to all of a sudden an explosion of announcements coming out, I have to talk about the Voltron movie. Yes, they are working on a live action Voltron movie. This movie has been in development hell for years upon years upon years. And literally within the last couple of months, because it's now Amazon who has the rights and who is producing this Voltron movie with the help of MGM that Amazon owns, there has been a whole slew of announcements for this movie. And I just find it extremely fascinating. And alongside with this, there's a lot of news about the Masters of the Universe movie that they're working on too. But let's focus on Voltron right now. So I'm going to switch over here to the Hollywood Reporter. Sterling K. Brown, Rita Ora, and John Kim to star in Voltron for Amazon MGM. Rawson Marshall Thurber, the filmmaker behind the Netflix hit Red Notice, is directing the live-action adaptation. Sterling K. Brown, I have to say, is one of the elite actors today. I know a lot of people probably have not had a chance to see him in his performances, but he is a really great actor today. Really, really great. And if this is his way of getting his bag, just like how people jump on the MCU bandwagon for the money to allow him freedom to do more of the stuff that I love seeing him in, more power to him. Go for it. Get that bag, son. Acting pieces are coming together for Voltron. Sterling K. Brown, Rita Ora, and John Kim have boarded the live-action feature based on mecha anime that Rawson Marshall Thurber is directing for Amazon MGM Studios. The trio join Henry Cavill and relative newcomer Daniel Quinn Toy to star in this ensemble piece that gets underway December in Australia. Here's a little history of Voltron if you don't know who Voltron is. Younger generations may not be too familiar. Voltron is based on the Japanese sci-fi series Beast King Go Lion and Kiku Kontai Daruger. What's that? 15? World Events edited and dubbed this series a syndicated show, naming it Voltron Defender of the Universe, which ran in the mid-1980s. The premise centered on 5 young pilots in a battalion named the Robot Lions, which are vehicles that join together to form the mecha robot known as Voltron. While plot details for the feature remain under the helmet, Thurber shared a video message with Voltron fans during VoltCon, held in October in Indianapolis, in which he said, "I want to make sure that we stay true to the heart and spirit of Voltron in this film. We're going to be introducing an entirely new generation of pilots. We've reimagined Voltron for the live-action world, but we're going to stay true to those iconic elements that you love, that I love." Thurber wrote the script with Ellen Shanman. Producing blah, 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 blah. Brown earned an Oscar nomination. That's Sterling K. Brown. again, mention how good of an actor he is. Well, we're going to remind you right now. Earned an Oscar nomination of his performance opposite Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. He was so good in that movie. Amazon MGM's acclaimed dramedy directed by Cord Jefferson. Brown will star in and executive produced the Hulu drama series Paradise, created by Dan Fogelman, and is due to begin production on Elegance Bratton's By Any Means with Mark Wahlberg. The busy actor recently wrapped production on Hulu's limited series Washington Black and appeared opposite Jennifer Lopez in Netflix sci-fi flick Atlas, which I chose not to watch because I think J-Lo sucks. Anyway, Rita Ora, is a singer-songwriter with over 10 billion global streams and 13 top 10 UK singles, 4 of which have gone to number 1. Multi-hyphenate, that's how you say that, has taken on hosting, judging, and panelist gigs on various shows and made inroads into the appearance in the 50 Shades of Grey franchise, Detective Pikachu, and most recently Disney's Descendants, The Rise of Red. So is it safe to say that she's going to be the female character in the Voltron movie? John Kim, appears in Prime's Cruel Intentions. That just recently came out. Starred opposite Jennifer Garner in The Last Thing He Told Me. Was in the CW's Nancy Drew. Was also in The Librarians on TNT. All right, so I mean, these people have been doing stuff. There you go. But then you got Henry Cavill. Right? So Henry Cavill, these 3. I think we have who's gonna play the young kid? That's what I want to know. Is it Pip? If AKB is still here, he's very well versed in Voltron lore. I wonder who's gonna play that guy. Timothy Chalamet. Could you imagine? I think that would be hilarious if they had Timothy Chalamet play that kid. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm just surprised how quickly the Hollywood train can go. When they got something and they want to work on it, bam, 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 bam. So Voltron, it's gonna be crazy. I don't know. Look, my expectations for this are medium to low at this point. Who knows? Who knows? It's gonna be bonkers. It's gonna be crazy. Who knows? AKB Cavill as Keith Leader. No idea who plays Pidge. Pidge, that's it. I said Pip. I knew it was with a P. Also, why? I know. It's Hollywood. Why not? Why the F not? You know? However, I will say this. If it does well, this will lead to hopefully future consideration for properties like Thundercats. And I know there have been multiple talks about them doing a Gundam live action. I think Robotech would be probably better if they could do like a live action Macross. I think that would be awesome. We already know they're working on the live action Masters of the Universe again. Sans Dolph Lundgren. But it'll be really interesting to see. It'll be really, really interesting to see. I don't know if people are anticipating this. That's the bigger question. Because I'm not. But, of course, I'm going to see it. Because in order for me to crap on it, I have to see it first. So yeah, so that's Voltron right there. AKB saying, oh my effing god, a live action Robotech would be insane. Wouldn't it? I feel like right now, that could work so well. Because you have a lot of human element in it. And then, yes, you do have your sci-fi kind of tech stuff, semi-kaiju stuff, right? With the vehicles and the robots. I mean, it just has a great blend, I think. And I think if they can nail it right, it has the potential to do a lot. So, Jester saying, "Oh, as a high schooler, I cannot wait for the new He-Man content. Oh, look at that. So let's talk about that, shall we? Because there has been news about He-Man, Masters of the Universe. Yeah. And there's a trend here I wanted to mention too. Because guess who else is doing Masters of the Universe? It's also Amazon MGM. So Amazon and MGM are doing two old school 80s franchises, Voltron and Masters of the Universe. And the way they're casting is very similar. Just like how they got Henry Cavill and Sterling King Brown in Voltron, they got Idris Elba for Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe, Idris Elba in talks to play Man-at-Arms for Amazon MGM. There you go. Nicholas Galitzine and Camila Mendes are set to star in the film from director Travis Knight. Elba is in final negotiations to play Duncan, aka Man-at-Arms, in the live-action feature adaptation for the popular Mattel toy line. Travis Knight is directing the movie that has Nicholas Galitzine set to star as He-Man, alongside Camila Mendes as Teela and Alison Brie as Evelyn. I like Alison Brie. I think she's a good actress. The Masters of the Universe film hits theaters June 5th, 2026, and hails from Escape Artists and Mattel Films. Knight is helming the project from a script by Chris Butler. The initial draft of the screenplay was penned by David Callahan, Aaron Nee, and Adam Nee. And here's a little brief history of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. If you're not familiar, Mattel launched the Masters of the Universe franchise with a line of action figures that debuted in 1982. A year later, the animated series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe premiered in syndication and was followed by video games and other merchandise. Elba reprises his voice role of Knuckles in Paramount Pictures' Sonic the Hedgehog 3, set to hit theaters next month, and also voices the character in Paramount Plus' series, Knuckles. His forthcoming projects include Amazon MGM Studios action comedy Head of State, alongside John Cena and Priyanka Chopra Jonas. Previous credits for Elba? Oh, we already know what he did. What he did? We already know what he's done. Pacific Rim, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Suicide Squad, Beast, Office, Luther, Hijack, and he also played Heimdall in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So this is going to be interesting. Again, for Amazon MGM to be doing Masters of the Universe and Voltron, if they could somehow find the right balance and chemistry and formula for these two, this could potentially lead to astronomical stuff and potential down the line. Now, Travis Knight, I'm just curious, what else has Travis Knight done? Because that name does really sound familiar. Let's see, Travis Knight. Okay, I wasn't expecting to see this coming up from his Wikipedia page. So Travis Andrew Knight is an American animator, producer, director, actor, and former rapper. Plus, he is the son of Nike co-founder Phil Knight. He worked as a lead animator and current CEO of the animation studio Laika. I had no idea. Laika Studios had done films like Kubo and the Two Strings and some other movies that the names are escaping right now, but I love Laika. He's also directed, again, Kubo and the Two Strings, and he also directed Bumblebee. That's where I know the name from. And in my opinion, Bumblebee is probably one of the better live-action Transformers movies they have ever made. Out of all of them, that is the one Transformers live-action movie I enjoyed the most. Because it was like a proper, I feel like, at least personally, it was a proper throwback to the 80s Transformers. I thought Haley Steinfeld was brilliant in the movie. And I enjoyed it. I thought, even though John Cena's in the movie, and I feel like he's in a totally different movie because of his acting, I think he played it a little bit too serious. Um, Overall, I enjoyed that movie. So when you have Travis Knight directing Masters of the Universe, given that he's already directed an 80s kind of throwback movie, Transformers, I'm a little hopeful. Not much, but I'm a little hopeful. I think I can mess with that. I think my anticipation level went up just one notch. Just push that notch up just a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. We'll see what happens when 2026 comes rolling around. So yeah, so interesting news there. Lastly, I'm going to close out with this because I saw this headline. We're really sticking it old school, guys. This is all old school content right now. And this one stuck out to me because I was just like, what? I was not expecting to hear this news. Ryan Reynolds produced Mighty Mouse. What? Ryan Reynolds and his production company, Maximum Effort Productions, has been set to produce a feature film adaptation of the popular cartoon Mighty Mouse for Paramount Animation. At least they're sticking to animation for this one. It's not going to be one of those god-awful CG / live action movies. Scoob! Writer Matt Lieberman, who worked with Reynolds on the 2021 fantasy adventure Free Guy, will reportedly pen the script. Originating as a crime-fighting super mouse in the 1940s, which satirized the popular Superman comics, he made his debut in short film titled The Mouse of Tomorrow. The massively muscled character starred in dozens of other shorts, but really became most famous for the cartoon series which ran for over 3 decades up through until the late 1980s, with his memorable theme song, Here I Come to Save the Day. When did the remake come out? The weird, wacky remake? I believe it was done by the same people who did Ren and Stimpy. I forgot what year that came out. That might have been the 90s. That was kind of wacky when that came out, but I still kind of enjoyed it. An attempt was made to revive the property 6 years ago. The Meg and Red scribes John and Eric Hober set the script, but that failed to come to fruition. Reynolds is coming off the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, while Maximum Effort renewed its deal with Paramount through 2026. And this was all sourced from Variety. I was actually a big Mighty Mouse fan growing up. I loved the Mighty Mouse cartoons. I remember back in the day, they would show the cartoon. It was either before or after Little Rascals on syndication. Here it was Channel 11 in New York. And I remember it would be during the weekday in the early afternoons. They would have reruns of the Little Rascal, or was it the weekends? I forget. But they would have the Little Rascals, and then that was around the time that I was able to see Mighty Mouse, or this is going to show you my age right now. Oh, how I remember this shit. Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse. Who remembers that cartoon? That is like a throwback. I used to love watching those cartoon shorts. And it was like a weird block where they just had nothing but like old school programming. Little Rascals, Mighty Mouse, maybe Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse. I don't know if Gumby was around the same time, if they did that around that same block, but I remember Channel 11 did a lot of those type of programming. And I was a fan. I was a major fan of Mighty Mouse in the 80s. I always enjoyed that character. Like I said, I think it was the 90s they kind of did a reboot, and it may have been from the same people that did the Ren and Stimpy cartoon. So it was very wacky animation, kind of like that weird startling type of animation, very abstract for that time. If you watch Ren and Stimpy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was a weird one. That was a Saturday morning cartoon that they did. And I don't think it was well received, but I think I remember enjoying watching it when it was out, but not a lot of people did. So, but yeah, I don't know. Mighty Mouse in today's age, when Mighty Mouse's present is very minuscule, if at all anywhere, it's going to be hard to kind of market something like this because, again, people of my generation will know exactly who Mighty Mouse is. The younger generation have no idea who this character is because this character has been dormant. You haven't seen this character pop up in any form of media at all whatsoever. No movies, no cartoons, no comic books, no video games, nothing. So it is going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. So we'll see if it comes into fruition at all eventually. But yeah, so that is just some of the news to close out today's stream at. I think now is the perfect time to call it a day. Big thank you once again to everybody watching. Big shout out to Jester, AKB Mobile, Kevin Davis, Arnold. Arnold, again, thank you for the gifted subscription, the gifted membership. Hopefully aggressively relaxing. Will thank you at another stream at another time. Suck My Tolly. Haven't seen that person in a bit. Nice of them to join in earlier on the stream. Not sure if they're still there. But thank you as always for joining in and tuning in. I will be back again next Monday after the Thanksgiving weekend. That's when we'll talk about what what predictions came true, what didn't. How well did Wicked and Gladiator 2 and Moana 2 did. It'll be really exciting to see how it all pans out after the holiday weekend. But if you are in the United States and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday. Hope you get a chance to enjoy it with family, friends. Go watch a movie, go play a video game, go read a book, do something, enjoy the time off. And I hope you take care. Don't forget, tip your waitress, tip your bartender, turn off your phones at the movie theater. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. And are we going to end out with this one? No, let's end out with this song. Have a great week, everybody. Jester, you, Housela, have a great Thanksgiving. I will catch all of you next week. All right, peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.